Good morning, everybody, or is it afternoon? Not quite. I'm a little bit late. I was supposed to be live at 10 this morning, and holy smokes, life blew up. So look, my name is Misha Fayon. I'm here to help you understand what's going on with your life, hopefully as far as your health goes, and maybe connect some dots so you can help understand what's going on with you and make some better choices, hopefully overcome a number of things that you may be struggling with, things like obesity, diabetes, hypertension, IBS, Hashimoto's, PCOS, poor sleep, sleep apnea, anxiety, depression, brain fog. All of these things are linked to one thing called insulin resistance. And it's really what I call it, an epidemic, because when 2 years ago scientists were saying 88% of us have a metabolic disorder, and just recently they're saying that about 95% of us have some type of metabolic disorder, that's an epidemic. And then when we look at the fact that almost every disease and disorder that we have today is linked to insulin resistance, that's huge. So if you're anything like me and you've gone to doctors and you've gone to nutritionists and you've gone to all these people trying to figure out how to get better, and you hear, I got lint on me, and you hear things like, oh, if you just would exercise, if you would just lose some weight, all of this stuff will go away. Well, do you know that when you're insulin resistant, it's nearly impossible to lose weight and your body hurts and you can't focus and you have anxiety and maybe ADHD, and you, if you're older like me, you start having Alzheimer's type symptoms, and yet everybody's telling you that it's all your fault. Well, how about I relieve some of that stress off of you today and let you know that it's not all your fault. We have an imperfect society, we have an imperfect food system, and it's causing the problem. But even more than that, I want you guys to think about one of the things I talk about the most is CVDs, cardiovascular diseases, because it's really highly linked to insulin resistance. They're taking about 50,000 lives a day. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, 50,000 lives will be lost to cardiovascular diseases. And when we look at that and understand, I'm going to do the connecting of the dots now. So when scientists say that only about 5% of hypertension is not caused by insulin resistance, and that most cardiovascular diseases, 80% of cardiovascular diseases are linked to long-term hypertension. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? I had hypertension since my 20s and nobody could figure out why. We cycled me through all kinds of medications, lisinopril, hydrochlorothiazide. I can't even remember all the medications I was on. We could only get my blood pressure down to 150 over 110, and then I get hit with the diagnosis of diabetes. Like, I was 57 and I felt like I was 75, and I felt like my life was over. And I mean, even in my 30s, I was like, what the hell is happening to me? So that's why I'm on here talking about insulin resistance all the time, because it's so important. So a lot of people, I'm going to start at the beginning. What is insulin resistance? It's really just the fact that our food has been so modified, our bodies don't recognize it anymore. And our foods are turning into glucose in our system quicker than ever. And that means there's an excess load on the pancreas to create insulin. Now, connect those dots, right? So insulin is a hormone. It's a major hormone. You're going to hear me say that a couple of times, but it's a hormone that's there to release, to take the energy that you've eaten as food and deliver it to your body. So glucose is delivered by insulin. Is insulin a fat storing hormone? Nope. It's an energy delivery hormone, and it wants things to grow. So it's going to take all of this sugar that you just put into your system, and it's going to deliver it to every cell in the body. And I mean every cell in the body, to help you grow. So that's your brain cells, that's your toenails, that's your gut and your heart and your everything in between needs insulin to stay alive and to stay growing. But what happens, just like anything else in the body, when there's too much insulin, our body starts to become resistant to it. So now our body is either hyperactive with all this insulin pushing too much activity, and I'm going to show you a few things how that happens, or your cells are like, nope, I'm not answering the door for you today. I'm not doing this. No way, you're not getting in. We're not doing it. But then those cells start to deplete because they're not getting the energy they needed, because they're overwhelmed. So I always use the analogy of the annoying neighbor. you move in and they're kind of sweet and kind, and at first it's all good, but then all of a sudden they're like knocking on your door every day and they're asking you all kinds of questions that have nothing to do with them, and then you're like, I'm not answering the door for that person anymore. You're like peeping through the peephole. That's what your cells are like with insulin. So crazy analogy, right? But that's what I use. Okay, so when this happens, it causes this other chain of events. And you guys, you could be insulin resistant for 20 years. And like me, we suspect I was insulin resistant for 40 years before I got the diagnosis of diabetes. That's a long time to have this disorder going on, weight packing on, brain fog setting in, aches and pains, losing joints, all of this stuff. And you don't know what's happening to you, right? Because A1C, blood glucose, and triglycerides, which they're using as markers to tell you that you're diabetic, don't spike up until this has been going on in your system for a while. So when every other cell is saying, nope, I'm not taking in that insulin, then it just starts going, okay, well, the body has these amazing storage sites called fat cells. So nobody else wants this energy I got. I'm going to run over here and I'm going to bring it to the fat cell so that it can store it. Again, insulin doesn't do the storage, it just delivers it. But now you have this problem, and maybe you have low blood sugar because your insulin is so high because you've eaten every 2 hours or you're eating all the time, which please don't do that. It's a bad way to go about things, and in the long term it doesn't work. So then and only then, when the fat cells feel like they're overloaded with all this energy, do your blood glucose, your A1C, and all of this other stuff start to go up. So how are you going to know if you're insulin resistant, right? That's one of the next questions I get. Well, I got to go past these. You're going to know there's 5 clues that Dr. Bickman gives out. And Dr. Bickman, for those of you who don't follow me, wrote this book, Why We Get Sick. He's one of the top metabolic scientists in the world. A lot of my information comes directly from him, Jason Fung, Dr. Pardeep. Those guys that know what they're talking about with this, that's where my information comes from. So the 5 things that you can tell if you're insulin resistant without that blood work are these. If you have that hypertension I've been talking about, so your blood pressure is 130 over 180 or higher, you're likely insulin resistant. If you have skin tags on your neck, your chest, your eyes, under your arms, in your groin, like I did, you're likely insulin resistant. So acanthosis nigricans, I'm not wearing the right shirt today. But you guys, if you have acanthosis nigricans, it's this darkening around your elbows, your knees. It can happen under your arms and where your bra line rubs if you're a woman. That's insulin resistance. And then the other 2 things are, ladies, if you've been diagnosed with PCOS, or men, if you've been diagnosed with erectile dysfunction, that's insulin resistance. That's how you're going to tell. If any of those things affect you, start addressing your insulin resistance. My thing is, look, you can address insulin resistance naturally, and how I did it, and I'm going to be talking about that. Full disclosure, I'm going to be talking about what saved my life, which is a tea I drink in the morning and a pre-meal drink that I eat, or drink before every meal I eat. That's what changed everything for me. So if you can address that, is it a cure-all? No. Is it a miracle cure? No. Is it going to help you bridge the gap between where you are and where you need to be with the food? Because we're just not getting in the foods or the fibers and the nutrients that we need. Yes, it will do that. So address the insulin resistance. Then if you still have lingering problems, go address those. But now you've taken this big elephant out of the room, and you can actually focus on what's maybe going on with you. And who knows, if you're like me, maybe a bunch of these things have gotten better for you. So did you ask me a question? I don't think so. You have some question marks. I don't understand question marks. Peace. I don't understand question marks. So look, there's a couple of other things I'm going to show you that can tell you if you're insulin resistant. And those are things like if you have that bulging belly, whether you're skinny or fat, maybe if you feel like you have this pregnant belly, there's a direct reason for that. It's called visceral fat. It's the fat that builds up under the muscle wall of the gut. That's insulin resistance. High triglycerides over 150 milligrams per deciliter, and low HDL for men under 40, for women under 50. Those are signs. Retaining water easily, edema, neuropathy, those are signs. Constantly hungry, especially after you eat, or having this temperature drop, this energy drop after you eat. That's insulin resistance also. Chronic fatigue, body aches and pains, fibromyalgia, all of this stuff, Alzheimer's, all of this is insulin resistance. So if we can take care of it naturally or start to address it naturally, why not? Why wouldn't you do that first and then see what's happening? But I'm going to go back a second here. But why, right? So when I talk about insulin resistance and I talk about the fact that it links into almost every disease and disorder that we have today, these are some of them. So dementia, Alzheimer's, heart disease, stroke, PCOS, high blood pressure, migraines, childhood obesity, osteoarthritis, erectile dysfunction, all of this stuff can be linked to insulin resistance. And so again, if we can address the elephant in the room, hopefully these will start to go away, and then you can start to see what's really happening with your health, if there's anything happening with your health beyond the insulin resistance. But then when we take a look at this one, there's all of this stuff, neuropsychiatric diseases. So insulin resistance doesn't cause some of this stuff, right? It will exacerbate some of it. So like Parkinson's and autism, I worked with autistic adults, and I noticed that if we could manage their diet and get their insulin sensitivity up, they had better days. They had less of the symptoms and the outbreaks and the sensitivities. Alzheimer's, peripheral neuropathy, retinopathy, diabetes, ulcerative colitis. You guys, non-alcoholic fatty liver really kills me right now because we have so many people with non-alcoholic fatty liver. It used to be it was just adults. Now we're having it in children. And why are we having it in children? Because of the amount of fruit juice that we're giving children. I'll go over that in a little bit. But all of this stuff on this list can be linked to insulin resistance, and it's really causing an issue. Now, why do I talk about it? Because this is me. The picture on the left was me in 2021, and the picture on the right is me 6 months later, and I've been able to maintain that. So I lost 50 pounds, been able to keep it off, but not only that, I overcame all of this stuff. So I got rid of my hypertension, hyperlipidemia, sleep apnea, heartburn, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, arthritis, leg cramps, skin tags, the skin discoloration, brain fog, depression, all of that. You guys, I used to have days where I would break down crying because I was so overwhelmed and I felt so out of control. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Why is this like this? I do all the affirmations, I do all the positivity stuff, but I just couldn't overcome that depression. It's a part of insulin resistance. And so if you're going through anxiety and depression and people are telling you that it's all your fault and that if you would just change your thoughts, well, no, there's some chemical things going on for most of us. No, I am not whole plant-based now. I haven't eaten yet today. When I do eat, I'm going to go cook no nitrate chicken sausage, probably about 3 eggs. And yes, I'll have toast and butter along with it. But before I do that, I'll have this. Now, this I'm going to dive into in a little bit, but this gives me all the fibers. There's 9 different soluble and insoluble fibers in this that give me everything I need to address the carbohydrates that I may be eating. And I'm going to talk about fats in a little bit because most of us are not eating the right kind of fats. Look, if you want to eat plant-based, amen, hallelujah. I tried that for a little over a year and I didn't do well with it. I don't think it's meant for everyone. I think that everyone has, I've read all the books like Eat Right for Your Body Type, Eat Right for Your Blood Type, Eat Right. And I think there's some truth to some of those things. So our genetics play a big part in how we metabolize food. And so I think it's very personal. But the cool thing with the system is you get to eat what you like to eat. If you're a carnivore like me, eat meat and eat protein. If you're a vegetarian, then eat the protein that you can get, because I'm going to talk about how important protein is, but do that. Like we shouldn't be fighting each other over food, and not that you are, but like it just is amazing to me. It's like saying that one shoe size is going to fit every single person on the planet, or one shoe type is going to be the best for every foot on the planet. It just doesn't work that way. But beyond me, you guys, there's I have a number of other people and a number of other things. So look, this was my feet before. I had edema, I had neuropathy. I also had neuropathy in my right arm. We couldn't figure out what was going on. We were blaming it on diabetes. Yes, diabetes is end-stage insulin resistance. But the bottom picture was a year later after being on a plane for about 8 hours and in the airports, and I came home and took my socks off and realized they were not swollen like they used to be before. They were not painful, they were not bruising, there was none of all of that going on. And I was like, holy smokes, I can wear my regular shoes again. I can do all of that. So that is real. And by the way, this picture here, I have somebody who just started the system last week. And on day one, she said her feet were feeling better. Within that first week, she was like, I was vacuuming my floor and I had my socks off and I'm vacuuming and I realized that I could feel the carpet under my feet. Like for the first time in years, my feet were so swollen, numb, and in pain that I could actually feel the carpet under my feet. That's, I mean, if you're not suffering with edema and neuropathy, you don't get it, but that's huge. And so there's real life stories about all of these things all over. We've helped thousands of people. One of them is my guy, Jason, right here. He's lost 140 pounds, gotten over his hypertension, hyperlipidemia, sleep apnea, chronic fatigue, chronic pain. He was losing his eyesight. They thought they were going to have to do surgery for him, and he's not on any medications. He's done it all with these two real food products. And then I look at my gal, Cindy, who's lost 80 pounds. Got rid of her hypertension, hyperlipidemia, inflammation, brain fog, and neuropathy. Her A1C, by the way, wasn't that high, right? She had all the signs of diabetes, but technically she wasn't diabetic, maybe just barely pre-diabetic. But then we look at somebody like Karen, who was. Her A1C was 11.5. It's now down to 6.5. It will probably be in normal range in another few months. She's only lost 25 pounds, but this is what I mean. Everybody is different, so it's going to look and feel different for everybody depending on what your health issues are. But Karen has lost 25 pounds, but her goal is to overcome diabetes. So she's lost a ton of inches, gotten over her sleep apnea, heartburn, chronic fatigue, brain fog, and her mental health is better. And then there's gals like Steffi. Steffi didn't look like she was overweight to me. Nobody knew that she was having depression problems. And yet she started the system because I was doing it and she saw how well it was working for me. She even asked me, Misha, what are you doing? And so I shared it with her. She started the system. She's lost 30 pounds, gone from a size 14 to a size 6. She has her belly fat's all gone. She has what she calls 4-pack abs. She's reduced her heartburn and her ADHD, and her focus is improved. So you don't have to be fat and diabetic for this to work, right? I get that all the time. But then there's Dia, who's lost over 50 pounds. She's a cancer survivor, but she's thriving on this. She has improved gut health, reduced pain, and she feels like she's gotten her life back. Then there's this young man who's a type 1 diabetic. At 11 years old, he was able to drop 35 pounds, do better in school, have better moods, have better focus. He says, I got to meet him and talk to him, and he was just like, it was so easy. It wasn't hard at all. If an 11-year-old can do it, you guys can do it. So here's the thing. Most of us are told that we should be doing things like calorie counting, right? That one drives me crazy. There's some truth to the calories in, calories out thing, but it's not the end all be all. There's a ton of hormones that are at play, and if you don't get that in balance, you're not going to lose weight anyway. So meal replacement shakes, weight loss clinics, boxed meals, all of that stuff, right? We get told all of that, and then we get in this overwhelm mode where we're like, I just don't even know where to turn. So again, why I love the system is because it's just putting back what's been taken out of our food, and it's just 3 drinks, 2 products that I drink at 3 points during the day, and it's turned my entire life around. I told this story last night, but yesterday I was, taking out the garbage and doing all the kitchen chores, and some of the little tabs that I tear off of these were on the floor. So I bent over to pick them up. I just bent over, picked it up, threw it in the trash. And as I was walking away, I had the realization that 2 years ago, I wouldn't have bent over to pick them up. I would have gone and found a broom and swept them up, and then tried to find a dustpan with a handle to do it, because bending over would have caused vertigo, and it would have caused so much pain that I would have had to like use my hands on my knees to bend over and push myself back up. I don't have any of that anymore. Like if you're suffering with any of these things, you guys let me know, because you don't have to be. It doesn't have to be that way. So the truth is, we're being expected to rely on willpower, and willpower is just not enough. Look, we have a modern food environment that's destroying our health. We have higher work demands than ever. How many of you guys actually just work a 40-hour week? Most of us don't. We're putting in more and more hours. our economy is busted, and so we're working tons. If you're like me, I was working 2 jobs. I would work all day in a medical clinic. I would go home, shower, grab a bite to eat, and then go take care of mentally challenged adults in their homes at night, and I did this 5 to 7 days a week. It was insane the amount I worked just to stay alive. So now in those environments, when I'm never in my kitchen or I'm never like, how do you eat well? And then you have family needs. For me, it's grandkids now, but like my kids have kids and they're always like, sporting events and school events and all of these things. So we end up with these huge time constraints and workloads and family loads that give us a ton of stress. And at the end of the day, we end up with decision fatigue. And you guys, decision fatigue is real. We do not have endless resources for everything. At the end of the day, when you've made so many decisions and you're overstressed and in anxiety, it's like your brain just is like, nope, not doing it, not making another decision. So you end up going to the fast food places, whatever, on the way home or ordering out at a restaurant because you're like, I can't go home and cook. I'm just tired. I can't deal with it. The family's calling me, all of this stuff. And this is what you're faced with. And this is what most of us are eating. Now, would you be surprised to know that you could still eat some of that? I'm not here to tell you that you have to ditch all of it, but there is a better way. Okay. Um, and for those of you who say, the whole plant food diet, look at what's happened to our food. You guys can Google it, just look up what our food used to look like. This is what our carrots used to look like and what they look like now. And then the picture in the middle is our watermelon. It used to have a ton of fibers and a ton of seeds, very little of the fruit part, right? And those fibers and seeds were there designed by nature to keep us slowed down from that sweet part. But we are like, I don't want to deal with all the fiber and the seeds. And so we've asked for something better, and the food industry complied and they modified our food. And now we have sugar, water in a shell. And so the corn is similar because it used to be more like a grain and now it's like this starchy, sweet vegetable, but you're not getting all of the fibers and all the other things that we need to have with it. And then we look at what they've done to our grains and they strip out off all the outside layers so that it's more digestible to you. But when they do that, they're taking off lipids, plant sterols, fibers, proteins, a number of things, antioxidants, and you end up with the part that spikes your blood glucose. This is the real problem. This is why you're getting sick and can't seem to get better, because that's what's happening to you. So I used to be 5 principles, and thank you guys for listening to me, because the fact that you give me feedback means that you're listening, and that's valuable, right? So I changed it to 6 principles because I had to add the move your body in there. Let's go over that. You want to get in fiber first every time you eat, because fiber is what mediates those blood glucose and the sugars that you are eating, and it helps keep those spikes down of your insulin. Then you want to fill up with fat, and I'm talking healthy fats, things like your animal fats, butter, ghee, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, and avocado oil. So that's what you should be using for fats, and fats are important. Now, the next thing is prioritize protein. Most of us are not getting in enough protein, and that means that we're not able to build healthy tissue. Protein is a building block for your body. You have to get it in. So if you're getting in protein, though, what most people don't understand, I didn't know till this last year, so I started doing all this research, that when you're having an abundance of protein, if you don't have fats with it, healthy fats, those proteins don't always store as building blocks. They store as inflammatory markers. Your body can only metabolize so much of it. So like so many other things that we eat, things have to be paired. So protein and fats, okay? Eat fats with your protein. Fats, by the way, we have 3 macros in our system: fats, protein, and carbohydrates. Fats don't spike your insulin, or only negligibly. Proteins spike it about half as much as carbohydrates do. That's why we go with this, right? Fill with fat, prioritize protein, and then control your carbs. Does that mean you can't have them? No. But let's not focus on all the high glycemic carbs either. Can you have those? Yeah, I'm going to have toast with my breakfast here in a minute. That's a high glycemic carb. But am I going to also have bananas and watermelons and all of that stuff with it? Nope, I'm not. I'm going to focus on the protein, the eggs, and the no nitrate chicken sausage first. And tomorrow it's probably going to be bacon. But then you want to watch the clock. So I do a 16-8 fast. And I'm not a physician, so I can't tell you what's right for you, but there's a lot of people who are afraid of doing a 16-8 fast, and you don't have to be. Your body is not meant to continually have food. And if we look at us in throughout history, we did not have this much food available, and we didn't have some of these issues. Do we have issues from predators and infections from wounds and some of that stuff? Yep. But we didn't have this food problem. So watch the clock. I didn't eat. I had my last meal at about 6 o'clock this morning. It's going to be noon, a little after 6 o'clock last night, before I am ready to eat. So I will have been fasting for about 18 hours. Am I hungry? I'm just now starting to feel hungry. Why? Because I drink this tea first. But watch the clock. I fast for 16 hours. I keep my eating in an 8-hour window, and then move your body. You guys, I know some of you are in pain. Some of you are fatigued. Some of you just feel like I can't get up. So I'm not telling you to go out and do a crazy workout routine at the gym. Take a walk. And if you're in pain and you're embarrassed and you can't get out of the house like I was, then at least walk around your house, put some music on and dance, but move your body at least a little bit. Then when you start feeling better, you're going to want to do better and you're going to do more exercise. When I started and lost that 50 pounds, I didn't go to the gym because I was in so much pain and had so many things going on, I couldn't. But that's all changed now, right? So those things will all, by the way, those 6 tips, whoop, I'm bouncing through the slides here. Those 6 tips are going to help things like obesity, your insulin resistance, high cholesterol, hypertension, and yes, inflammation. Guys, there's so much held in your gut, and when you're insulin resistant, it probably means that your gut's unhealthy too. So the system helps all of that start to get better. It helps reduce the blood glucose spikes. It helps control the fats that are going into your system, and thus helps with your gut, and that helps with inflammation. So it's like this. When we eat a normal meal, we're having these glucose spikes, and that insulin, the dark blue line, has to go up to take care of the glucose that's just spiked in our system and deliver it to our body as energy, right? But then we're eating again, and we're having a snack, and we're whatever. And insulin doesn't come down quickly once it's up high. It stays up high because now what you've done is you've told your body, hey, I'm going to keep overloading you with sugar. So your insulin is like, all right, here we go. I'm going to stay up here. I'm going to be ready. But now you're hungry for sugar. And now you have this gap in your sugar and your insulin, and you're having these food cravings. And that's what's going on with you. So we want to slow down the sugar delivery into the system so that those insulin spikes can come down, so that they can not be as high to begin with and come down more naturally. When they're high like they are for most of us, it takes 8, and I was testing mine, and it was up to 14 hours, 16 hours before my insulin would come down in the beginning. So yeah, do some intermittent fasting, use some things to help keep those blood glucose spikes from happening in the first place. And what happens with the system and the balance that we use is exactly that. So this bottom one, this is what it looks like when we're using balance. The blood glucose spikes don't go up as much. The insulin doesn't go up as much. So the insulin then travels more naturally with your glucose, and you're not having that gap that's causing fatigue and brain fog and sugar cravings and food cravings. So this is what's really happening when you have those glucose spikes. Insulin, and when it's high like that, is blocking fat breakdown, it blocks fat burning, and it stimulates fat storage. It's not a fat storing hormone, but it stimulates that fat storage. And remember, it's a primary hormone, so it doesn't let anything else come out to play that's going to oppose it as long as it's out. So what we do is this system that's just a tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before we have our 2 biggest meals of the day, and that time-based eating that I just talked about. And this is what it looks like. So in the evening, when you have dinner, you're going to have your balance. Let me make sure you guys can see this over here. So you have your balance 10 minutes before your dinner. You eat your dinner, whatever that dinner is. If it's pasta, have pasta. If it's, if it's steak and potatoes, have steak and potatoes. But it takes about 2 hours for your fasting window to actually start, and about 6 hours for your blood sugars to really normalize. And then when that happens, then your insulin level can drop. Insulin basically goes to sleep, right? So then when that happens, when insulin is finally not out to play anymore, glucagon, which is catabolic, or meaning it wants to eat things up, glucagon can now come out to play, And glucagon is what's going to stimulate your fat burning. Remember, insulin stimulates fat storage. Glucagon is going to stimulate fat burning. So you have to have glucagon out in order to burn fat. That's why we don't want to eat every 2 hours, why we want to do some intermittent fasting to let the insulin come down, the glucagon go up. Now your digestive system resets, and then when you wake up in the morning, whatever time that is, you just start the day with a unamate. I did my morning meditation, my qigong, and then I went out for a walk, so I had lemon ginger unamate hot. I'm just not quite finished with it. And then I'm actually going to start in on another unamate, and this is the lemon. Because it's real food products, because it's doing so much for my body, I've learned to do more than one a day instead of doing any other kind of drink. So when you drink the unamate in the morning, your fat burning increases, your HGH is already up. The unamate helps you produce ketones. It's not a ketone product, but it's helping your body do the job that it needs to do of creating those ketones in your system. And I have a ketone monitor, and several months ago I was doing tests. In the morning when I was in a fasted state, I would test my ketones, and then I would do unamate or balance or whatever and see what happened to my ketones. And my ketones actually went up after drinking the unamate. They also, crazy enough, my ketones one day doubled after I drank my balance. So then you're going to have, it's going to be, I said, a little bit afternoon before I eat. Then I'll just have my balance and I'm good to go. I'll wait 4 to 6 hours, have my dinner, and then I do the whole thing over again. It's not that hard. It's meant to be sustainable and easy, and make it so that you can live a real life. Like I was listening to, there's another guy, and I listen to some of these other people, right, to see what's going on. I try to stay educated and not just in my rabbit hole. But he was talking about how he had a friend who stopped going to events because she was afraid of how she ate or what she looked like, or how it was going to be, if they were going to have food she could even eat. And friends stopped inviting her because they're like, I don't know what to feed her. You guys, you don't have to live like that. Live a real life. Do you want to do better with your food? If you can, yeah. But the system helps you with all of that. So look, this is what it looks like. Tea in the morning, balance in your first meal, balance at your second meal. Now, if you're having breakthrough hunger in the afternoon and you just feel like you need something, have another unamate. It shuts down hunger and it tastes like a lemon iced tea. It's amazing. And then you're not spiking your glucose. The tea does not break your fast. So, then if you happen to be somebody who's super active, or say on the weekends, like my grandson comes over and one of our traditions is to have breakfast together. We don't very often have pancakes, but once in a while we'll have pancakes together. So say we do that, then I'm just going to have a unamate before we have breakfast. I'll wait until lunch because he's 8, and so or 6, sorry, I don't know why I said 8. And then we'll have another balance before his lunch. Sometimes I have it with him, sometimes I don't. And then if we do have a dinner, if I have dinner with him, then I'll have another balance. So it's flexible, you guys. That's the whole key of this. Is it's not like if you are not perfect, you're going to fail. That's not this system. And it's a system. It's not a program. It's not a supplement. It's a system. So one of the reasons I love the unamate is this right here. First of all, it's handpicked. You guys, it's not machine harvested, so it's ethically and sustainably harvested. That's hugely important to me. I don't know how important it is to all the rest of y'all, but that's important to me. Weird thing, I know, but it is. So not machine harvested. It's handpicked by farmers who own their own farms. They know exactly what we want when we want it. So they're not giving you overripe leaves or underripe leaves. It's the right product at the right time from a farmer who cares. And then we take it to a fire roasting process. That, you guys, like spinach. Iron doesn't get released from spinach unless you cook it. Do you know that? So you can eat all the raw spinach you want, but you're really not getting the iron out of it. You got to cook it for that iron to be able to be metabolized by your system. It's similar with this. So we take it through a fire roasting process. It allows those components that we're trying to get to you to be released from the bulk of the plant. And then we take it to an extraction process to get all of that out, right? Then we concentrate it. And I'm going to show you, there's about 375 times the chlorogenic acids in this as there are in a regular herbal mate. So no, go buying a steeped tea bag over the counter and having one of those a day is not going to be the same at all. Plus then at the very end, we take it to a Swiss lab where we go through a process called hyperpure, and that helps remove environmental toxins and pesticides and whatnot. So now you have an extract that's highly concentrated and extremely pure. Nothing else like it on the market. That's why I love it and use it. And that's why I have more than one a day. And it's just amazing. So the herbal mate in this Unimate helps you feel great all day. You can have it anytime. You don't get crashes. It's non-addictive. It actually helped my blood pressure. So things like Bang Energies that I used to try and drink when I was a competitive athlete, and some of those things that are damaging your heart, this is not like that. You're getting energy, but it's not from that same activation that those are doing. This is actually helping your heart. My blood pressure is in normal range. I've been off all medications for 2 years now. And that's the first time since my 20s that I've been off of medications for my blood pressure. And it's all because of this system. So it boosts mood, mental and physical performance, promotes healthy digestion, is high quality, purified, like I just said. And so the components in this are those chlorogenic acids that I talked about. They promote neuroprotective gene expression, and they have an antioxidant effect in the brain. They promote feelings of well-being. They support your healthy blood pressure and glucose levels, and they promote weight loss. So they are a family of polyphenol compounds found in plants like yerba mate, and our Unimate contains 375 times more chlorogenic acids than any standard yerba mate tea. So the second component I like to talk about a lot is called theobromine. That also supports healthy blood pressure and cholesterol levels, promotes a feeling of calm, reduces mental fatigue, and improves focus. You guys, I love questions, by the way. I know I'm talking, right? But I love when you guys ask questions. So if any of this needs to be clarified, if made sense of, whatever, let me know, because I will answer whatever I can. And if I don't know, I'll go find the answer. But Unimate has 3 times the amount of theobromine as compared to the highest quality dark chocolate. And then we get to the mate saponins. They also help support healthy triglyceride levels and the body's ability to burn fat. They're a class of molecules that are unique to this plant. So those saponins, you're not finding them in coffee beans and all of that stuff. They're unique to this plant. But then we get to this thing called triterpenoids. And when you hear about like reishi tea, reishi coffee, all the stuff that's the big rage right now, what the benefit from those are those triterpenoids. And those triterpenoids are present in great amounts in Unimate. They're suggested to have human health benefits, including lowering serum cholesterol levels and providing antioxidant and anti-cancer activity in the body. Amazing stuff. And look, you don't have to have an extra thing. We do have a BioReishi tea, by the way, or BioReishi coffee. It just has more sugar in it than I like, so I use this sparingly. On occasion, I'll have this, but I don't. It's just not a part of my normal day. I just wanted to try it. But the triterpenoids that we're trying to get to with the reishi stuff are present in the Unimate. So when do you want to have it? You want to drink it in the morning, first thing. Like I said, it's going to support your fast, shut down your hunger. It curbs snacking and the need to eat, helps you have this tremendous energy. The energy is coming because you're burning fat, not because of excess amounts of caffeine. Is there caffeine in it? Yes, naturally occurring caffeine, less than that of a cup of coffee, but you're getting this high amount of energy because you're burning your own fat for fuel. And you guys, the first time you feel that, it's going to feel like, I don't know for you, but for me, the first time that happened, I was like, what is going on? I have this mental energy and clarity, and I was afraid of my heart, right? Because my blood pressure was so high. I was like, oh God, I might be losing weight, but I'm going to have blood pressure problems. No, 6 days after starting the system, my blood pressure, the best we could get it to, remember, was 150 over 110. In the doctor's office, it was 126 over 84. Amazing. I like screamed like a little girl in the doctor's office. I hadn't seen that blood pressure since my 20s. So this actually helps. And we have a cardiologist who has recommended this to every single one of his patients who's practicing in Wisconsin, and more are jumping on board because they're seeing the benefits of getting off of statin drugs and some of those other things and letting people's body heal naturally. So my hands are like crazy whirlybirds today, right? Whoo, that's the Unimate. All right, so the balance, the second component of this, that pre-meal drink, there's 4 different patented blends in that. The Biosphere Fiber 7X technology, Cardio Matrix, and the vitamin complex. I'm going to go over all of those. You guys, it took 20 years of study and over 200 plant substances studied to come up with a specific blend of 9 soluble and insoluble fibers that are in this packet. And I want to go over some of that right now. So that this patented matrix is helping with controlling blood sugar, curbing appetite between meals. You're staying satiated and you're staying satiated longer. And it supports a limited impact of carbohydrate intake. So that Biosphere fiber is a unique blend that includes 5 different sources of fiber, and those fibers help support cholesterol levels, and they slow the conversion of high glycemic carbohydrates into your blood glucose. So the 7X technology is plant-derived polysaccharides, also known as viscous fibers, and those viscous soluble fibers form a thick gel in your gut that starts to fill up your gut and soothe. Like, I have an acidic gut. This stuff really like soothes my gut. If I feel like I'm having any acidic gut at all, I'll drink a packet of Balance, whether I'm going to eat or not, and it just calms my stomach down. Plus, that gel-like substance starts to make you feel satiated, but it also slows the emptying of your stomach, which results in prolonged satiety and slowing down the delivery of those sugars into your system. So the Cardio Matrix is a blend of plant extracts and phytosterols that helps the body's cholesterol absorption process. Chrysanthemum is key in that. You guys can look up chrysanthemum. There's been a ton of studies about chrysanthemum and how beneficial it is to the body. And then we look at the vitamin complex. So our scientists went the extra mile, right? They're like, okay, we have these other 3 complexes in here. We really want to get the best out of this. And there's scientific studies that show that this blend of vitamins and minerals actually helps boost the actions of this whole complex by adding those to it. So it's amazing that they've done that and created this complete system for you guys, for all of us. So some tips for success. I talked about non-alcoholic fatty liver and fruit earlier. Hey, Steph. So you don't want to drink your carbs, because remember, a drink, if you think about it, there's no real fiber in that, right? And it's not slowing down the delivery of those carbs into blood glucose. So when you take an orange, 1 orange is great, right? But how many oranges does it take? I don't know, more than 10 or 12 to make a glass of fruit juice, which is fine. But now you have all this fructose and you don't have any fiber to mediate it. And you guys, if you don't know, fructose is causing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It metabolizes similar to alcohol. So the comment is the cost of unicity is a hurdle. It's $5 a day. Is there an alternative? For me, there wasn't an alternative. Everything else that I tried cost me more and didn't do the job. And yeah, so here's the thing. I got rid of 10 medications. That's $100 a month in copays. I don't buy all the snacks and all the junk food anymore. I don't have the food addictions anymore. So Steffi can tell you, I'm the geek that puts everything in a spreadsheet. Everything in my life is in a spreadsheet. And what I noticed, because I was afraid of the cost at first too, I'm going to be full out this honest, like the cost was a hurdle for me, but I'm like, my back was up against the wall and I'm like, I have to do something. Nothing else has worked. There's a 90-day money back guarantee. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to utilize that guarantee. I'm going to try this. In the back of my mind, I'm like, this is probably something that's not really going to work, but whatever. It's real food. It's not causing damage. I'm going to give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, or when it doesn't work, I'll get my money back. And here I am 2 years later, and I'm more on for the system than ever. So yeah, $5 a day. I've sat down with a few people and gone over, the junk they're buying, Starbucks coffees and muffin tops and all of that stuff. That's way more than $5 a day. It's $1.60 a packet. That's not cost prohibitive. It's the lens you're looking at things through. When you think about like this, costs a couple of dollars, right? How many of these are most of you guys drinking in a day? Well, I can have 2 Unimate for one of those, right? And actually, Rowdy, thank you, because here's the thing. If people do the system, amazing. If you don't feel like you can and you want to take some advice or connect some dots and we've helped in some way, amazing. And I appreciate that because that's really what I'm here for. So back to these tips. Eat your carbs, don't drink them. You guys want to use healthy fats. I mentioned them earlier: butter, ghee, coconut oil, avocado oil, EVOO. Be careful of those oils though. Like, see this oil that's in a light bottle? That's basically a seed oil with enough of the like olive or avocado in it to be called that. And I think it's less than 20% they have to have in there. So those, if they were a real avocado or extra virgin olive oil, they would be in a dark bottle. They're in a dark bottle so they don't go rancid. So pay attention to that when you're buying those. The cheaper version is not better. It's probably just a seed oil with enough extract to be called the other. Prioritize protein. If you're a carnivore, that's great for you, right? Chicken, eggs, fish, all of that, which is what I'm about to go have for lunch. If you're not, lean into the friends who are vegan, because I am not. And then fat loss is not weight loss. Take your measurements, pay attention to your health changes. Don't look at the scale, because you guys, when you're losing fat, that takes up a lot of volume on your body, but it doesn't weigh as much by volume as lean tissue, muscle and bone and whatnot. So when you're insulin resistant, your lean tissue is not getting the nutrients it needs. And so you have some muscle wasting. You can have some wasting of other tissues. Like, look, I've had 3 joint replacements, both hips and a knee, and the other knee was supposed to be replaced a year ago in 2022, and it no longer has to be replaced because I'm insulin sensitive, and so my body is functioning more normally and it's doing its job, and I don't have that inflammation that's eating up my joints, and my muscles are getting the nutrition they need to be healthy. So that's the importance of becoming insulin sensitive too, you guys. If you're having those joint problems and arthritis and whatnot, yeah, it could be linked back to this insulin resistance causing inflammation in your body and vascular problems and gut problems, and just it's insane. And then not getting nutrients to cells of the body that need it. So ditch the scale, pay attention to how you feel. I'm still a big girl. Unicity is superior to Metamucil. Absolutely. Let's take a look at that. I don't know if I have my Unicity box, but I showed you guys so this is Metamucil. They call it 4-in-1. It's not because it has 4 great components in it. There's only 2 types of fiber in here, and there's a lot of sugar, and they've now added some vitamins and minerals. Not the same panel that we have, because they're following what we do. This little packet, by the way, people will say it only has like 3 grams of fiber in here. But if you listen to specialists on fiber, the type of fiber matters. So I could take 30 grams of benefiber or Metamucil and still not do the job of the 3 grams of fiber in here, because every fiber from every plant has a different action in your body. That's why we studied over 200 fibers to come up with this blend to help with your A1C and your sugars and your cholesterol levels and triglyceride levels, because they're actually working to help those things. These 2 types can't do that job. And, you know, this is what, $30 a jar anyway? That's about a month's supply. You guys, it's full. I did 1 glass for a video and that's it. I will never drink that stuff, by the way. And this says it's a prebiotic supplement. Well, guess what? Fiber is a prebiotic. So this is a prebiotic supplement too. But yeah, not at all the same. In fact, I've had people who have gone off the system because they've listened to these TikTok gurus, right? Just go buy Herba Mate and Metamucil, and they call me back. And they say, Misha, I am not feeling like I used to, and this didn't work. And can we get me back on the system? And I'm always absolutely like, you guys got to do what you got to do. But why are you afraid to try others? Do you know there's the amount of sugar in this? And the fact you're getting psyllium husk and maltodextrin. Psyllium husk helps you poop. And yeah, it's psyllium husk, maltodextrin, citric acid, orange flavor, and aspartame. Aspartame. Out of all the natural or the sugar alternatives, aspartame is what's in here. Have you, anyway, I'm not going to go into the whole aspartame thing, but I would love to know why you're afraid to try others. Here's the thing, Kim. You get a 90-day money-back guarantee. Does Metamucil ever tell you, do our product for 90 days, and if it doesn't work to reduce your A1C, you'll get your money back? Have you ever heard that? Has anybody gotten that guarantee from Metamucil? Because I sure haven't. Why does your doctor say you have to take Metamucil? Okay, yeah, message me personally, Kim. Let's have a conversation. By the way, you guys, I haven't done this yet. I will try to share here for you guys on these other channels. I'm going to go to my TikTok page, you guys, here. This is my TikTok, and if you look at the top of my TikTok, right under the red lights, there's a link here. Click on that link. It's going to take you to my link tree, and this is what my link tree looks like. If you want to get a hold of me and talk about this, Kim, or anybody, there's a link right here. You can message me directly, and this is probably the quickest way to get a hold of me. When I see those, I try to get back right away. There is my YouTube channel, all of this you can order. There's a full web page, guys, with the nutrition links, the links to the PDR, everything is in here. So utilize those. But if you want to just order, you can go right up here and order, and that's all in my TikTok. For those of you on other channels, it's I did some rebranding this week, so it's now www. I just gave everybody a kiss. Aren't I generous today? What the hell is that? www.mishafayant, just like all of my social media is Misha Fayant, same spelling, www.mishafayant.com, and you'll get to my website and everything that you need there, okay? Yeah. So the thing that's different with our products, and I'm going to go there today. I haven't done this for a while. We are in the PDR. Did I not stop my share on? Oh, you guys, I didn't show you over here. Hold on. On these other channels, I got to show you where we're at. So this is the YouTube channel, or sorry, guys, I got to go back. I'm on like 4 different platforms at once. So there's the link to the link tree right under the red light symbols. That's going to take you, sorry for those of you guys who are not on this TikTok, all of those links are there, including the WhatsApp link and my webpage. You guys, that's where you're going to find it. Coach Misha Fayant on Instagram, Vibrant Living with Misha on Facebook, and Vibrant Living with Misha on YouTube. And so we're going to go to the PDR. So the PDR is Prescriber's Digital Reference. And, can I type today? And what I want to show you is that our products are in the PDR. Metamucil is not in the PDR. Herbalife, Kirkland, Q Sciences, none of those are in the PDR. So when we look at, well, let's just look at Metamucil. Okay, look at this. No results for Metamucil. Because to be in the PDR, you have to have science-backed clinical studies, and they have to, this is a third party. They review everything. If they don't look into the science and stuff and believe in what's there enough to put it in the PDR, it doesn't make it. Do you understand why Metamucil is not in the PDR? But let's take a look at Unicity Balance, and these links are on my website as well, you guys, under the PDR tab. So here's Unicity Balance. Voila, we're in the PDR because we have science, we have clinical studies, it's been proven. We have partnerships with the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association, and things like the Cleveland Clinic, the top heart health hospital in the world, and the University of Sydney, and on and on and on. So here's Balance. It has this nice little description of what it is, benefits and research, suggested usage. The only safety and warning for Balance is It's well tolerated, but you may have some gastrointestinal discomfort or increased flatulence or loose stools during the first month of use because of the increased intake of dietary fiber. But that usually goes away within a month. You guys, when you have that going on, understand that it's because your gut's so healthy. So just like when you go to the gym and you are exercising and you're like, my, my life is crazy. Okay, so when you're exercising and you haven't done it for a while and you go to the gym, there's going to be that moment of pain, right? Your gut can be the same way. It's got to get healthy again. So just give it a chance, give it time to get healthy, and then it will get better. By the way, I had uncontrolled IBS, like to the point. Okay, you guys, I want you to I want you to appreciate that I'm being very vulnerable and honest with you guys, because at 57 I bought Depends. Not because I couldn't hold my bladder, but because my IBS was so bad that I was terrified of leaving the house. Yeah, it was that bad. Do I have that problem now? Nope. Nope. I do know, however, that I will use the restroom about an hour after eating. So if I am eating, I just make sure that I'm near a restroom about an hour later, but I don't have this weird uncontrolled stuff going on that used to happen that I know a number of other people are suffering with as well. So people with Crohn's, people with IBS, people with leaky gut have all reported lessening of their symptoms or feeling much better, if not feeling like those symptoms are gone for them when utilizing the system. That's not an effect of, oh, it's making you poop. It's an effect of getting your gut healthy. Okay, so your gut's getting a little stronger, and it's those prebiotics and phytosterols in there are nourishing the environment, the gut microbiome, and you start feeling healthier. So I'm going to go back to the PDR real quick because I want to finish up this little section here. So balance, right? I do want to go back into this, and Unimate's in there as well. I can look up that also. But look, that was the safety and warnings. It's how it's supplied. It's packaged in single serve foil packets. There's references, right? I mentioned American Diabetes Association. Oop, right here. And the American Heart Association right here. And then it shows simply how it's packaged. This was our first forms of packaging. It used to be called BioSlife S or Slim, and in some countries that's what it still looks like. But we have the new packaging of Balance. Now I do have a box here. Of course I have a box here. It's like all over the place. This is what it looks like now. And those of you on YouTube, I'll show you later. But I want to go back to some other drugs. Like the one I pick on a lot is metformin, because that was a drug that I was put on for my diabetes. And I'm not going to try and get into telling you all about the drug and being a pharmaceutical person. I'm just going to show you some basic difference, right? So we look at this, boxed warnings. You didn't see this with Balance, right? So there's all of this stuff going on. Dosage and indications. The dosage was pretty simple with ours, right? Maximum dosage, more dosage considerations, contraindications. Remember, there was no contraindications with Balance. So if you have any of these sensitivities, diabetic ketoacidosis, by the way, type 1 diabetes can use Balance and Unimate, and it actually helps them. They can't do metformin, but they can be insulin resistant. Crazy. Okay, so it can cause diarrhea and vomiting. If you have kidney problems, kidney failure, impairment, you shouldn't be using it. Heart failure. Like I just had a friend who just had a stroke, and the doctors are trying to give him some form of this type of medication when it's contraindicated. Do you have to worry about that with Balance? No, you don't. Okay. So we're going to keep going on because there's all of this information, but I just want you to notice all of the information that's in here in the PDR for metformin, and then adverse reactions. Remember the one simple safety precaution thing that said you may have some gas and bloating in the first month? Well, this is what you're looking at with metformin. Vasculitis, angioedema, secondary failure, rhabdomyolysis, where your muscles blow up, hypoglycemia, hypertension, leukopenia, thrombocytopenia, folate deficiency, anemia, vitamins B12 deficiency, diarrhea, infections, headaches, nausea, vomiting, and then you start getting into drug interactions. Remember, there were no drug interactions with balance, none, none. But look at all of these with metformin. And are you guys checking all of these? Because I'm going to guarantee you that your doctor doesn't always check all of these. Or they prescribe it anyway because they just want to give you an answer and get you out, right? So when I get asked about things like Metamucil and the system or whatever, there's a whole lot of science behind what we're doing and why it works. And we have the backing of multiple doctors. And yes, we have our own science team that does these studies. And the thing is, we're not a marketing company, we're a science company. So we're out there saying, what are the things that are that we need to be addressed for people's health, and how are we going to address it? We're not out there going, oh, hey, there's a company that's putting out fiber, so we're gonna emulate that, and we're gonna label our stuff so that it looks like we're doing the same thing for less, and they're not gonna know that they're getting a watered down, imperfect, not even close to the same version, but we're gonna use that marketing because we're a marketing company. We're not a science company. Turmeric is the same way, and you guys be careful because there's a lot of supplements out there. When you go through like the turmeric thing, curcumin has to be balanced with that. Magnesium has to have calcium balanced with it. D3 has to have K2 balanced with it. We take a look at all of those factors and make sure that we're giving you something that's actually metabolically available to you, and not just, oh, hey, everybody's talking about turmeric, we're going to shove a turmeric bottle in your face. All right, so different story. I want to go back to I'm about ready to hop off here. How long have I been yapping at you guys? An hour. Now, does anybody, since I'm done, except for if anybody has questions. You guys, if you have questions, please ask them. I'm more than willing to go over them, whether it be if you just hopped on and you don't understand why insulin resistance is an issue, or all the things that can be linked to it. Like on YouTube, you guys are getting to see this whole thing. All of these things I struggled with, by the way. Obesity, diabetes, hypertension. I talked about IBS, Hashimoto's, PCOS, poor sleep, sleep apnea. I was waking up 60 times an hour with sleep apnea. I sleep like a baby now, unless I have to get up for the restroom because I'm a super hydrator. Depression, anxiety. I had days every week where I would close my door and cry like a baby. I haven't had even one of those days in 2 years. It's just not there. Not part of my reality. I'm healing. So anxiety and depression have a lot more to do with hormones and your receptors in your brain a lot of times. Just try it. You have a 90-day money back guarantee. If you start feeling better, amazing. If you're still having issues, dig deeper. But chronic fatigue, pain, vertigo, food cravings, periodontitis, muscle cramps. You guys, I was the poster child for insulin resistance. I'm hitting random buttons and you guys get the benefit of my foolishness. So you guys, I love you all for hanging out this long with me. And those of you who ask questions, amazing. If you're interested in doing the system or talking to me more about it, just go to my profile on TikTok, or those of you on the other channels, just go to www.mishafayant.com. Everything should be fine there. I had to update, so I'm just making sure I got everything updated. So same name as the channel you're on, just Misha Fayant, like this down here, .com, like that name right there, www.mishafayant.com, and that will get you to all the information and ways to get a hold of me, all of that. So I'm gonna go eat now. It's noon, 12:30, and yeah, it's been a little over 18 hours. I'm starting to feel hungry now. So I'm gonna go get that fats and protein, but I'm gonna have my fiber first, right? So you guys, I will talk to you later. I've enjoyed this time to share with you, and reach out to me with all your questions. And I would love to discuss your issues and how we can help. I was shocked at everything that changed in my life. from one simple system when I felt I'd tried everything, including, I didn't show this today, that white book back there with the red spine. That's the medical medium. And yep, all of that stuff went in a spreadsheet, and I had a Ninja blender and berberine, flaxseed oil, kelp, um, ginger, cinnamon, raw natural maple syrup, and wild blueberries in the freezer, and baskets of lemons on my counter, you guys. When I say I've tried, I've tried. And this made my life so sustainable and easy and helped me get over everything when you guys get to see inside my it helped me get over everything when nothing else did. And it gave me hope back, it gave me my health back, and that's really what I want for everyone. So, yes, I'm an affiliate. Yes, this is how I make my money. But isn't that amazing that I make money helping people get better and get off of all the medications that are damaging them? So Richard, it's different for everybody. The question is, how long do you have to take it before it makes a difference? So for me, I noticed some things right away. Like the first few days, the first day, my brain fog was going away. I had more energy. I didn't have that chronic fatigue, or what they used to term adrenal fatigue. I wasn't needing a nap every day. I still don't need naps unless my grandson's been around driving me, like he just wears me out. That boy, I love him, but he wears me out. But the first day of taking this, I noticed all of that. Within the first week, my blood pressure was going down. I had my mental clarity back. I had my energy back. And then it was just like a domino effect over the next several months. I didn't lose any weight for about 6 weeks. And I was giving some thought to that this morning. I know we all highlight the weight loss because this is not a weight loss system. This is a health system. Okay. So if you're doing this just for weight loss, I invite you to look at other things. If you're wanting to really affect your health and understand that weight loss is a side effect, great. But for me, over the first 3 months, I didn't lose weight for 6 weeks, but by 3 months, I was down 25 pounds. For a woman with Hashimoto's PCOS in menopause, that was freaking amazing. My leg cramps that used to wake me up every single day screaming in pain, literally would be crawling across the floor or limping and swearing like a sailor to get to pickle juice or mustard or something to stop the leg cramps. Within a few months, those were gone. In fact, I woke up one day and went, something's different. What's going on? And then I realized I'm not waking up. Every day I would be woken up with leg cramps, abdominal wall cramps, foot cramps. Those all went away. My skin tags were all gone within 3 months. That discoloration that I showed earlier that happens around your knees, elbows, and that rough skin, that's all been gone for 21 months. So if I ever see that darkening on my elbow again, I know that I'm having an insulin problem, but I don't. It's like smooth as a baby's butt. It's clear. There's not an issue there. That's a good way to tell if you're having an insulin resistance problem. That happened within the first few months. The swelling in my joints, I remember sitting down because it was summertime and looked down at my knees, and I could see my kneecaps for the first time in years because my knees were no longer swollen. My IBS was getting better, and about 3 months in, I had my first normal bathroom habit that I'd had in years. So it was just a number of things started to happen. It's going to be different. I'm not going to tell you that 3 days in, your life is going to be clear. No, this is a real food system. So it's going to depend on you and what's going on with you. Like I had Jason up here. Jason is one of my unicorns, but he was over 400 pounds when he started, right? So now 6 months in, he's lost 140 pounds. His A1C is almost back down to pre-diabetic from like 13.3, and that's like danger zone. Danger. Um, those things all started happening for him right away. My A1C went from 7.4 to 6.3 in the first 3 months, and then down to 5.3 in the next 3 months. At 19 months in, I had a physical, and every single one of my labs was in normal range, and my blood pressure, and I'd been off of medication for almost the entire time. But all of those things started to happen within the first 3 to 6 months. But I'm going to tell you that every month since then, I've noticed something that gets better. I'm 59. I've been carrying a lot of health issues for a lot of years. And so I just continue to notice things that get better, and, and I'm thankful. And so now I've learned to be, I'm a thick girl, right? I'm not huge like I used to be, but I'm still thick. Do I care? Not necessarily, because I'm healthy. I can get up and down off the floor. I can go up and down stairs. I can do all the things I couldn't do 2 years ago. I don't have sleep apnea waking me up 60 times a night, all of that. So I'm more focused on my health than on my weight. And that's what I would invite all of you to do. The weight loss is a side effect of your gut getting healthy. But when you focus on the weight loss things, your mindset's just in the wrong place. Focus on getting healthy. And that weight's going to come, and your mindset about food and exercise and stuff is going to change as you start to feel better. Okay? That's not a very direct answer, but it's really the only answer I have. So you guys all pay attention to that, and understand that you do have that 90-day money-back guarantee. So you want to do it for 90 days. Don't just do it for 30 days. Look, if you're going to start and give up in 30 days, just don't even start. Okay? Let's save you and I both the time. Just don't even start. If you're serious enough about your health that you want to invest in 90 days to see what can happen for you, yay, I'm on your team. Yes, I had a sleep test. I went in, and that was when we had, I call it, I felt like the Borg. Had a really beautiful bedroom, but all these tubes and hoses and everything hooked up to me. Yeah, and they said 60 times an hour is what I was waking up. Yeah. And I don't suffer with those things now. I don't have a CPAP. I don't have any of that. I do drink some, our Bone Fortify at night, which is calcium, magnesium, D3, and K2, and that does help with my sleep, helps me. Oh, I'm wondering why I'm not on a CPAP? Because I don't need one now. I don't need one now. I'm not waking up 60 times an hour. Okay. So would you like me to do a video on how sleep apnea is linked to insulin resistance? Because I'm down for that challenge today. I haven't done that for a while, but I'm good because there's so many people who've gotten off their CPAP and reversed their sleep apnea using the system. There's a number of people on here who have. So yes, I was prescribed a CPAP, but I was prescribed a CPAP. Yes. But I don't need it. I sleep just fine. I still snore because my nose has been broken twice. I've had an interesting life. So one doctor said my nasal passage looks like a lightning bolt in there. That's going to cause some snoring, and I have allergies, but it's not the same thing as the sleep apnea. By the way, when you're heavy and you have insulin resistance, um, yeah, metformin I couldn't tolerate, hun. I'm so sorry. And Kim, here's the thing, for 90 days, you can see what can happen with him. And then, look, if it didn't work, you just get your money back. So there's a thing that can happen called fat tongue. And one of the things they had talked to me about was they actually cut a slit in your tongue and they ingest some chemical to help reduce the fat in your tongue so that it doesn't fall back in your throat and cause some of that sleep apnea. I didn't have to do any of that stuff, you guys. All I did was a tea in the morning, which I'm on my second tea now because it's time to go eat, and a pre-meal drink that I'm going to go mix up. You guys, I can run and get some water. Do you want to see how easy this is to take? Because I'm going to have dinner. Yeah, I'll just take you with me. How about that? Let's just go. And so everybody on YouTube, sorry, I'm going to shut this down. Love you all. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to take these guys and show them what it looks like to do balance. Sorry, I can't take you with me.